Here we go.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here!
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode. I believe the 35th episode of the Phixated podcast. I am Mike Azzolina, your host, and I'm joined tonight by a man who once held my hand while I was getting my ribs tattooed. Chris Regensburg, here you are.
Hello, my friend. You are not the only one of our roommates that I went with for a rib tattoo. I also went with our good friend, Mr. Eversole.
Josh, you went with Josh
for his rib tattoo as well. Neither
Did you
of
hold
which
his hand?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think so, but he expressed to me how painful it was. And neither of those situations made me want to get a tattoo anymore.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't remember mine being super painful.
Josh's was horrible, he said.
Yeah, I don't remember mine being painful, if I'm being honest with you. Okay. Yeah. I remember going with you.
Still don't have a tattoo.
Well, the reason that this came up is because I'm trying to get a fourth one. And I sent Regs a picture of the one that I'm thinking. I mean, it's one I found online that someone else got. And I'm going to tone it down quite a bit. We might have to tweet it out. I'm going to tone it. We should get some opinions. I'm going to tweet it out, I think, or put it on the fan page. But I am going to tone it down a little bit. It's a little big, I think, especially for my forearms. The guy in the pictures, his forearms are ridiculous.
I literally thought it was a picture that you like. It was done, and you were just like, "What do you think?"
I mean, I appreciate your confidence in my forearms, but
listen, you're ripped, man. They're veiny and huge.
I mean, that's the ultimate. Never mind. This is a family show. I'm not even going there. So yeah, I think we'll put that out there and see what people say. Hey, we were gonna wait to talk about. Oh, that was 3 hours ago. We're not gonna update that. Whatever. We'll wait to see what happens. A lot to talk about tonight, Regs. I know Warrior baseball is over, so we'll do a Moo Duck update here in a minute. But we're gonna jump on the bandwagon a little bit with something that's been floating around social media. We're also going to recap those fighting Phils a little bit for the people out there and just give our input on what's been going on in the world of Phillies baseball. And then we're going to react to whatever happens here in the next few minutes with the Sixers picking. You'll keep us posted. Where are we at on the draft? Are you still following?
I am. Yep. So we're at number 19, I believe. Memphis just traded for the 19 pick from Minnesota.
Okay, so the Sixers are picking at 23. At least they're scheduled to.
Timberwolves landed number 22 and number 29.
Oh wow. Okay. I still don't think they're going to make the pick, and we'll find out in probably the next 20 minutes.
Something's got to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see them making that pick. I don't know if they do. They're making it for somebody else. There's so many random rumors flying around about Kyrie and Kevin Durant and Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker and all of these things. We talked a little bit off the air about if they land Kevin Durant, holy moly. Maury would go down. I talk about tattoos. Maybe I just get him tattooed to my heart.
At that point, he'd deserve it.
Yeah, maybe we'll just tattoo his face onto my face.
There you go.
Yeah, we feel good about that?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. If that happens, Regs.
Principals have face tattoos all the time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's no issue.
No, none at all. There won't be any problems with me doing that. No, Joe Murray would be cool with it too.
Of course.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I feel good about it. All right.
We checked with the bishop. It's fine.
Brother Phil?
That's right.
So good. Might be our best opening to a show ever. So, hey, real quick Moo Duck update. Give me that hashtag roll ducks.
There you go.
Because last night Moo Duck clinched, won the division, 10-0.
Nicely done.
So we have 2 regular season games left. They don't matter. There's nothing we can do to change our seeding. We are the 1 seed no matter what happens the next 2 weeks. So it's all about keeping everybody healthy, which last night I almost wasn't. I had a collision at home plate, Regs.
Jesus, why?
Leading off the game, I hit a bullet to right field. It got past the right fielder. So easy triple, but I got waved to the plate, and it honestly, I think looking back on it made sense because the ball trickled away from the second baseman, but it trickled away far enough that it like the shortstop was just standing there.
Yeah.
So he picked up the ball as I was rounding third and threw a pretty perfect ball to the plate. And when I went to slide, the pitcher who was covering home instead of the catcher, since it was a female, they put the pitcher there to cover home. He basically blocked the play, so I didn't really have a path. So my slide went, and he it wasn't a tag, right? It was more like a body slam into my shoulder, and it's the one that I had surgically repaired. Remember when I came back after freshman year with the surgery?
Mm-hmm.
It was that shoulder. So I had to pull myself out in the 3rd or 4th inning. I just couldn't anymore. My arm was killing me.
Yeah, take
so
it easy, dude.
Feels fine today. I mean, we're going on vacation. I'm good. I have next week off.
There you go.
So Moo Duck is in a good spot right now. We ended up winning 13-3.
There you go.
Yeah, so I feel good about where we're at. I'll be fine by the time playoffs roll around, I'm sure. And if I'm not, this team's talented enough to handle moving forward without me. They don't need 35-year-old slow ass Azzy running around anymore. They got plenty of dudes who can pick up my slack. So that's where Moo Duck's at, man.
Good stuff, man. Congratulations.
Yeah,
on the
thank
number
you.
1 seed.
We've never been undefeated, so I think that's the only thing that I would say we're playing for at this point.
Okay.
Is to finish 12-0. We have never we've never been undefeated.
Why not now?
Roll Ducks, baby.
That's right.
Roll freaking Ducks. I mean, it was being talked about on the bench last night, that the hashtag Roll Ducks.
I like it.
Yeah, in the dugout. So, Regs, let's jump on this train. And no, we're not doing she's a 10, but ... trend. Although, listen, pretty solid tweet by us. For those of you who don't know, there's a trend on TikTok and social media right now that's what is your breaking point in a relationship? What is the point that ups the relationship? So it's she's a 7, but she
it's a great cook.
She knows everything about the Phillies, or she's a great cook. Oh yeah, now she's a 9. So we put our own little fixated spin on it and said she's a 10, but her favorite player is Brandon Nimmo.
It was a good one.
So
I immediately said pass, and then a Met fan of mine, or a Met fan friend of mine, replied to me saying, "Why?" And I said, if I have to get past that he sprints to first base after walks, we can't have this conversation.
Yeah, we have a problem.
He just replied laughing, which he's a good sport. So I think he obviously understood it. He's not such a crazy fan that he can't sort of see past it. So it was a good interaction, but
no, Mets fans have to understand that he's annoying.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably that same feeling about Nimmo from a Met perspective that we had for Utley on our side of things. And not to the extent of talent. Utley was a far better player.
I was about to say.
But just from the perspective of we loved Chase. Every other team hated him.
Yeah.
Every other fan base hated him. I'm sure the Met fan base loves Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah, of course.
Because of how hard and that's why we love Chase. Look, he was a great player, but most of this fan base appreciated Chase because every ground ball that dude sprinted to first base.
Yep.
It wasn't for the other stuff because the Philly fan base is very weird in that way.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rollins was a better player than Chase Utley, but the fan base will never say that because he didn't run every ground ball out as hard as Chase Utley did.
Yeah.
So I think it's similar in that way. Like we love Chase, they love Nimmo. Other fan bases hated Chase, we hate Nimmo.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So, so good for your buddy. I'm glad he's a good sport. Nimmo sucks. So if you're listening to this, whoever Regs' friend is, Brendan Nimmo sucks. And I've seen rumors that he could be a Philly next year, and I will literally vomit. So we'll leave that there. The
that
trend
would be quite wow.
That would be the ultimate Michael Scott office moment. How the turntables have turned.
That
moment.
would be
like
something.
that's what that would be. Regs. I don't know what I would do.
Wow, that would be something. I kind of really want that to happen just so we can dedicate the first 20 minutes of a podcast to that.
It would really be.
You might just sit there in silence while you try and sort of mentally understand what's happening.
It wouldn't be my favorite situation.
Oh my God, that's so good. All right.
Well, we'll sit on that till December when free agency starts. Okay.
Yep.
We'll just sit on that. Okay. We'll sit on that. All right. So the trend that we're talking about is there's been something floating around. I think Elliott Shore Parks started it. It was what is your Eagles Mount Rushmore? And I think it's a really good question. I really do. I think it's and this could be coaches, general managers, owners, players, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to just be, players, because I feel like that a lot of times that can get mixed up a little bit. So Regs, we briefly talked about doing this before we came on the air tonight. So I'm curious how you want to do this.
I've been thinking about it ever since.
Do you want to go back and forth?
Yes,
or
I do.
Okay. All right. So do you want me to start? Do you want to start? And it doesn't matter if we have the same guys. I think we're probably going to have some overlap.
God,
right?
he just crushed that ball.
Who did?
Padres home run.
Okay, good. Oh, Hosmer.
Yeah.
Unreal. We'll get to them in a little bit.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if we have the same players. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to start?
I'll go first. The first one that came to mind is Reggie White.
Okay. I'll check him off my list too, because I had him. I don't know how you. I know most people remember Reggie White as a Packer,
but like that dude is one of the most iconic players in Eagles history.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, do you remember? I mean, I'm sure you're like when Mike and Mike were a thing.
Yeah.
Golick used to talk about all the time being his teammate and how he like didn't belong on that defensive line. It used to make me laugh. Yeah, I think if you go to the link, you'll see a ton of people
still
wearing Reggie White throwbacks, like for sure. But I think like because he ended his career where he ended his career.
So I think
that's where people remember.
I think for a lot of the modern fans, probably the generation behind us.
Yeah.
They might not even remember Reggie White was an Eagle.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was saying.
But I think there's still a significant amount of generations who, when you think about the Eagles as a whole, Reggie White has to be one of the top four names that you think of.
Yeah, I think if you look at his career numbers in Philly, like that in and of itself is like a conversation to have. I mean, the guy had 124 sacks as an Eagle.
No, I mean, say what you will, like Packers Reggie White is at the middle to end of his career.
Yeah.
Reggie White on the Eagles is in his absolute prime.
Oh, dude, he had 2 seasons.
Man.
Back-to-back seasons with the 18 or more sacks.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, come on.
Just an absolute animal.
I don't think they were doing there were certain stats they weren't doing at that point.
Yeah.
Actually, there were a lot of stats when you look through his statistics. My goodness, there were a ton of stats they weren't doing. That's unbelievable. But anyway, he was the defensive player of the year. In 87, runner up in 88, fourth in 89. Like
Yeah, just unbelievable.
There's no way he's not on there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we both have him on there. So do you want me to go next, or
Yes.
do you want?
No.
Okay.
You go.
All right. Andy Reid. Andy Reid.
He's
he's
also on my list.
So guys, we did not plan this.
No, we did not.
We literally got on and I was like, let's do this trend.
Yep.
Like
we
I
talked
think we have
about
to
it
do
10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So Andy Reid has to be on there.
Yep.
I know he never won a Super Bowl here,
Doesn't
but
matter.
dude, we had just the best experience as high school and college kids because of Andy Reid.
Making the playoffs every year, having a competitive team, all
NFC
that stuff.
championship after NFC champion. And I get it. We played in one Super Bowl with Andy Reid.
Yeah.
I understand that, but we knew every single year that we were going to be in it.
Yep.
And I'm glad that Big Red got his Super Bowl championship.
I was rooting for him.
I'm glad he did. I think if we just like glance at his wins as an Eagle, like as an Eagles head coach, and again, we did not prep this, so bear with us when I just kind of open up his Pro Football Reference here and see. So he was the Eagles head coach from 99 through 2012. 2012 was not a great year. We know that.
Nope, that's fair.
Dude, he won 130 games as the head coach.
Yeah.
130 games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now granted, he lost 93, but 130 games as a head coach.
It was almost a guaranteed 10 wins.
Yeah, I think if you go back and look at his record, all right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had 9 seasons with 10 wins. And then oh wait, sorry, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 seasons, okay, whatever, with 10 wins. And then he won 8 or 9 games 3 more times. So 500 or better 11 seasons. I mean, yeah, the guy belongs on there. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll bounce back to you.
This one is tough because the first two were pretty easy, if I'm going to be honest. They came to
I got
mind,
one on my list who still is easy, but
they came
I'm
to mind
anxious to see you go next.
immediately.
Okay.
And I'm a little in between who I want to pick.
Okay.
And they're both quarterbacks.
Interesting. Okay. Go for it.
And I honestly don't know who to pick, but I think if I have to, and this is probably based on my bias as what age I am and what era I grew up with, Donovan McNabb.
Okay. So I feel like just for the sake of it, I was bouncing between him and another player, and I'm going to say I'm not going to put him on there, but he's easily number 5 on my list.
It was
no doubt about it. Just for the sake of having something different, which we're probably going to have.
So I won't mention who my other one was because I want to see if you mention him.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to do him right away.
No, I just meant if you mention the other person I was thinking of.
Okay.
I don't want to say it now just in case you bring him up later, but
okay.
I think when you lump...
So tell me Donovan.
I think when you just loop in... If you take away the Super Bowl winning season that we just had a couple years ago, Donovan McNabb is the icon of the Eagles for that entire Andy Reid era, minus the last few years.
Yeah. He got traded. He got traded before 2010.
Yeah, you can't associate that era of the NFC championships and the division championships and not think about Donovan McNabb. You just can't.
Sure. Yeah.
His winning tenure is so, is obviously equated to Reid being here. And I think especially for us and the age we are, we were Donovan McNabb Eagles fans. That's what we grew up with.
Yep.
So despite only making one Super Bowl and him not having the greatest game ever, I mean, he wasn't terrible, but
No, it was the ending.
yeah, for sure. I think, and again, this is where I think outside of those first two, I think this is where what generation you are and who you grew up watching really starts to influence you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just where my mind goes, is Donovan.
Okay. Well, he made 5 straight Pro Bowls. Which, listen, like, not bad.
Yeah.
He took us to many NFC title games again, won Super Bowl, didn't go great. We know that. We could tell the story over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. Donovan kind of defined our lives as Eagles fans. There are a lot of people, I'm sure, that would argue that he belongs on here.
I'm sure.
Those same people would probably argue that Nick Foles belongs on here.
Listen.
Is he your other quarterback?
No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But I did think about him.
But I because Donovan didn't win the big one doesn't mean that he wasn't a really good quarterback.
No.
Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl.
Right. And I don't think I didn't hold that against him because of the totality of his time with the Eagles.
Sure.
You just can't think about the Eagles in a positive light in the past 25 years.
Right.
Without thinking about that McNabb Reid era, which is some of the best 8 or 9 years that this team has ever seen.
I'd also first hold on. The Sixers got D'Anthony Melton for the 23rd pick.
Hold on.
Tell me that's true.
Philadelphia is trading the number 23 pick to Memphis for D'Anthony Melton.
I'm sorry. We'll get there. But Daryl Morey, you stud. You stud. Wow.
Jack Fritz. I've never seen D'Anthony Melton miss a 3. Good trade.
Wow. That's well done. I did not see that coming.
There you go.
All right, we'll get to that and why it's a big deal and why it's terrific for the Sixers in a little bit. We're going to hit that towards the end of the show. That's just a tremendous move in terms of athleticism that the Sixers badly needed. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's jump back to Donovan real quickly. I think the one thing that we have to highlight before we move on to my third pick would be, name me a wide receiver aside from Terrell Owens that Donovan McNabb got to throw to that was anywhere near the caliber of Terrell Owens.
Ready, Fred X?
Yeah, right. Freddie Mitchell,
Yeah.
James
That's
Thrash.
about it. Yeah, that's literally it.
Todd Pinkston.
Yeah, that's literally it.
I mean, look, he had some really good tight ends over the course of his career,
Good running
and
backs,
Brian
obviously.
Westbrook
Yep.
was there. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, Terrell Owens, the best year Donovan had, and the best year that team had, they went to the Super Bowl, was when he had Terrell Owens. So yeah, Donovan belongs on it. I don't care what anybody says. I'll fight anybody on that any day of the week. I know we never got the Super Bowl with him and Andy, but they both belong on there. Yeah, without question. All right, I'm actually surprised. I thought that you were gonna say this one. He's my favorite Eagle of all time. He's in Canton, so to me, he absolutely belongs in this conversation. Brian Dawkins.
Yep.
Again, that same era. The true leader, the only Eagles jersey that I own, by the way. And and probably the only one I'll ever own. Just because I don't know that there's another Eagle that I've loved. There, honestly, Rex, there might not be another Philadelphia athlete that I love as much as I love Brian Dawkins.
Yeah.
That dude got us. He got us. 12 years, 96 to 2008, he was here. I still, to this day, will never understand why they let him walk.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I'll never get it. I'll never get it. 34 interceptions as an Eagle. 26 sacks from the safety position, which is wild to me. Wild. 911 total solo tackles in his career, 723 in Philadelphia. And just a special leader.
Yeah.
A special leader. And one that, to me, kind of defined that era, that defense, that Jim Johnson defense. And will always define Philly sports. Even during that run in 2017, who did all the hype videos?
Right.
Brian Dawkins.
There was no one else you'd want to do them.
No. Who speaks to all the Phillies minor leaguers about playing in Philadelphia? Brian Dawkins. Not like Jimmy Rollins, not Ryan Howard. Brian Dawkins. The guy overcame a lot in his career too.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, he's absolutely on here, no doubt in my mind. So anything you want to add there?
No. He was my next pick because I wasn't leaving him off of it, but I have an alternate.
Okay,
but
tell me your alternate.
I agree with everything that you said. Every single thing about it.
Okay.
So my alternate is, oh man, I just thought of another person and now I'm in between people. Shoot. There's 3 of them I'm bouncing around in between.
Okay.
1 is a defensive player and 2 are offensive players. Man. I think I'm going to go Brandon Graham.
Okay.
I mean, you have to pick.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised.
You have to pick someone from that Super Bowl team because we've only won 2 of them as a franchise.
Well, yeah, 1 and then a championship.
Right. Yeah, but whatever. So I just don't feel like you can leave someone off of this list when if they were an important part of the one Super Bowl winning team that this franchise has ever had.
Okay.
And I just think you got to give it to Graham because of that play, the strip play. I mean, listen, you could argue for Foles. I thought about Alshon Jeffrey. I thought about Zach Ertz. I thought about Lane Johnson. I thought about Jason Peters. Guys who have just been around forever. But I feel like you have to pick someone from that Super Bowl team. And if I'm going to pick someone, it's that dude.
Okay. All right, so I kind of went back and forth a little bit too. 4
is hard.
Yeah. All right, so I went way back, and then I went to that Super Bowl team. And I think I agree with you. I think it's got to be someone from that Super Bowl team. I thought about Chuck Bednarik.
Okay, yeah.
My grandfather loved Chuck Bednarik. But I agree that you should probably have someone from this team. So I was not going Brandon Graham. I was going Jason Kelce.
Okay.
Because I think at the end of the day, I think either one is probably fine. But to me, when you think about Philadelphia and you're thinking about defining the city, I think Jason Kelce's probably, for me, the one who does it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's
perfectly fair.
Apples to apples, really.
I could hear an argument for, like I said, 4 or 5 guys from that Super Bowl team. And I think Kelce is probably up there in at least the top 3.
I mean, the speech alone, Regs.
Well, sure. Has to be factored in. Has to be. I think that 4th spot is really up for grabs. I think it has to be someone from the Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And there are probably, like I said, there are 5 people that you could make an argument for that I wouldn't fight you.
Sure. Okay. So one more time, I'll run through it. Our Regs's Mount Rushmore was Andy Reid, Reggie White, Donovan McNabb, and Brandon Graham. Mine was Andy Reid, Reggie White, Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelsey. So I actually go without a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I did say that right off of mine was going to be Donovan. Was Carson the one that you were going to say?
No, Randall.
I didn't even think about Randall.
Yeah. It was Donovan.
See
it was Donovan or Randall.
I'll tell you what, that's a career that I wish I was older for.
That's what I mean. It was purely, and that's why I said it. I said, this is the reason I'm picking this is because of my age and when I watched the Eagles.
Yeah. I wish I was older for that. I do.
Yep.
Because I think he's probably, we got to watch Mike Vick when he wasn't quite Mike Vick, but like we had a glimpse of what Mike Vick was.
Randall was here in his absolute stud form.
Randall was the original Mike Vick.
Literally. Yep.
Yeah. That dude was unreal.
Yeah.
Just pull up YouTube videos
Yep.
of Randall Cunningham.
Yep.
Just pull them up. I've done it a million times because I've heard so many like stories about him. And I was we were like 6, 7 years old.
Oh yeah.
When Randall was a thing.
If that, when did he?
And those teams that like you talk about those teams. Randall was so good. He was so.
Oh my
good.
God, him and Reggie White were the team.
Yeah.
That's it. So look, 85 to 95. So literally, we were 8 years old.
Yeah.
When he left.
For sure. That's a really good one. I didn't even think of Randall. Well done, Regs.
No, thanks, buddy.
Well done. I like that. So, do we want to move right into the Phillies? I think we should.
I think we should
save the Sixers for the end. See if anything else happens before the end of the show. All right. So when we last spoke, we were trying to figure out like where they would be in the next set, right? So, we both predicted what 14-6. So they went 2-1 against Arizona, correct?
Mm-hmm.
2-1 against Miami. 4-1 against Washington. 0-2 against Texas.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So they are currently 8-2. Or I'm sorry. That's bad math. 8-5. Bad math. They're currently 8-5. And they are losing as we sit here this evening.
1-0.
They're losing 1-0.
And haven't hit anything out of the infield.
No, they actually do not have a hit yet. They have one base runner currently. Actually, yeah, Braces was a fielder's choice because of Reese's base running. So when we last spoke on Thursday night, they were in the midst of game 1 against the Nationals. They won 4 out of 5. There's not a whole lot to talk about there, Regs. I feel like they didn't play well considering that they won 4 out of 5. That's just how bad. It's how bad the Nationals are.
Yep.
Absolutely. Truly, that's just how bad that team is.
Yeah.
And they should have won the 5th game. Like they just came out. They won 4, and Bryce had to sit.
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday, had to sit on Sunday. He sat on Tuesday. So we had 3 games without him, and the offense just changes entirely without him. It's absolutely unreal how different they are without him. So yeah, going back to that series, they won the first game 10-1. The first game of the doubleheader, they kind of stole, I guess. The second game they definitely stole.
Yeah.
And because Matt Vierling all over. That was an unreal game. That was unreal. And then the Saturday, there it goes. There's the light out of nowhere. There it goes. The Saturday game, I'm actually drawing a blank. That was the Nola start.
Yeah.
Where Munoz hit the home run, and then again, just let Sir Anthony close baseball
I know,
games.
right? Yeah.
I don't understand why we're doing this as an organization. Like, I don't get it. And I don't think I ever will until they make that change. Brad Hand had no business coming into that game when he came into that game. Sir Anthony comes in with the runner on second and shuts it down.
Yeah.
Just let the man close.
Yeah.
Until you get a closer in here that you trust. Just let him close. And then the Washington, then the Texas, or the Sunday came around. That was a disaster. Like, they said they weren't planning on starting Eflin or letting him pitch past 3 innings anyway. Well, then why is he even starting?
Right.
What's he doing there?
Yeah, it was just bad. It was just bad overall.
I don't understand what he was doing there anyway. The Rangers first game, Gibson was fine. It's the Familia effect again.
Of course.
I just don't know when you nut up and just cut him. Gibson going 6 1/3 and giving up 3 is not.
That's not bad for him, man. It's our fourth starter. Like,
it's interchangeably 4 or 5.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter.
There is nothing wrong with Kyle Gibson in that situation.
But there's a lot wrong with Familia coming in and giving up 4 in an inning and a third.
I'd never want to see him take the mound for this team ever again.
It's baffling. It's baffling.
I have so many things I want to talk to you about with this.
All right, let's just finish up that series, and then we'll get into some of that. And then the second game, Wheeler just didn't have it, and the offense wasn't there. And I'm sure that's probably partially what you want to talk about. Wheeler only went 4 1/3, which is he struck out 8. So the pitch count was probably.
He said after the game he felt off.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
like
no one. He's our stud, and he's been our stud for a year and a half.
Right.
You can't expect he's not going to be perfect all the time.
Right. And Bilotti was good. Brogdon was good.
Was
Alvarado
he terrible
was
enough
fine.
for this offense to not score any runs for him? Like, no.
What did they had 5 hits. They stranded 11 yesterday.
And I think
stranded 11.
Jack had a really good tweet about this. He said, "I know Bryce isn't playing, but that is not an excuse for the rest of this offense to go absolutely ice cold." He's like, this is not how this team was constructed.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to lose my marbles with Nick Castellanos and JT Realmuto hitting back to back. I don't care where they are.
You wanted to go there. Yeah.
I don't care where they are. They should be 7 and 8 right now. You would think that'd be the case, but our 5 through 8 hitters are somehow even worse than those two.
Yep.
With Didi and Stott and Bohm and Odubel.
Yeah.
They're hitting a combined, like I think I saw the other day, 130 something in the past couple games. Castellanos doesn't look like he's ever seen an outside pitch in his entire life.
Yeah.
He's swung at 2 today already and weakly grounded to the first baseman twice on pitches that are a foot off the plate. We texted about this all weekend. JT comes up with the bases loaded and nobody out or 1 out and just weakly grounds out every single time. JT should be batting 7th or 8th in this lineup. I get it. You have to put Castellanos up there as protection for Harper. That's the entire reason you brought this man into your team. So I get it that you just kind of have to ride him until whatever's happening with him stops.
Right.
But the JT thing, try anyone else. Put Bohm there. I think I know Bohm's been in a bit of a slump right now, but At least he's shown that he can hit. JT is a shell. And I know we're going to make this a topic for another time, but like, has he been worth it? Just flat out. I'm starting to debate it because, like, fine, you're a good defensive catcher and I get it. He throws a lot of people out. Great. That's like, whatever. Being a good defensive catcher is not that cool of a thing anymore. It's not like something that's going to win you a bunch of ball games. You need people who can hit. This league is about hitting. And why he has dropped off an absolute cliff. I don't understand. I don't understand why Castellanos looks like he does. Because this was not the dude we watched last year or the year before that. And the swings that he's taking are horrible. Mm-hmm. They're just so bad. And those two coming up after Schwarber, Reese, and Harper just absolutely kills any momentum that this offense has.
Correct.
It just kills it. And then, look, the people behind them, we don't expect a lot from those guys. That's not what we're expecting. Of course, we think Bohm can turn it around. We really hope that Stott can turn it around. Odubel is a travesty, and DD is reverting back to DD. Shocking. But those first five guys were supposed to be a gauntlet that teams should not be able to get through. You should not be able to load the bases and then meet our 4 and 5 hitters, and they don't score any runs.
Right.
Like, that just can't happen. It cannot happen. And it's happened 6 times that I can think of just the top of my head. Rant over.
What specifically do you want me to touch on there?
Anything,
you gave me a lot.
Anything you want. Dealer's choice.
Okay. I'm going to start with Castellanos. So you go over the tax form, right? You give him the money. He's the guy that you say can get you over the hump. Right now, he has no approach.
No.
That's the problem. I don't know if he's pressing. I don't know if he's... I can tell you this. He's been too successful in his career for me to sit here and say, oh, the league's figured him out. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's not it. I just don't know if there's something mentally there that he's pressing so much. I mean, some of the swings aren't even swings, they're whales.
They're awful.
He's waving, he's reaching, he's off balance.
He hasn't hit a strike in 2 months.
We talked about at the beginning of the year that part of the reason we were so excited to have him was because he drives the ball the other way. Yeah. And when he's going right, he does. Yeah. And right now, he's rolling things over. He's reaching for balls. He's fouling off over the dugout. And when he's reaching, it's all arms. There's nothing. There's nothing in the lower body.
Anything you throw that guy outside of the plate, he's swinging at right now,
which is not his norm.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand what this is. And again, I think some of it is just entirely mental. Do I think it's going to turn around? I hope.
I mean,
I know that's not the answer.
Right
I know that's not the answer that everybody wants to hear, but I don't have the clear-cut definitive, it's absolutely going to turn around because we're in the middle of June.
Right, exactly.
The end of June. I mean, next week we're in July.
Yeah.
And just overall, let's look at it from the overall perspective. This team is leaning so much on Kyle Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins, and Bryce Harper that the moment one of those three doesn't hit, the offense is shot. It's shot. You said it. Didi's retracting into his shell. Castellanos isn't nearly what we need him to be. Stott is a rookie who's figuring it out as he goes.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy didn't have a ton of time at AAA. He's just figuring it out.
Yeah.
I think Alec Baum is what Alec Baum is. He's a singles hitter that's not going to get on base a ton with walks because he makes a lot of contact.
Yeah.
We'll get to JT here in a second. Odubel is he's going to be a guy that's going to hit 300 for 2 weeks, and then he's going to hit 200 for the next 4.
Right.
Unfortunately, the team's really streaky. Yeah, we were really excited. And look, it's hard to get angry at a squad when they did what this team did over the course of the beginning of June. Like 15-1 is out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've hit a snag here, and it's clearly bothersome. But we'll talk about this in before the end of the show. What can save us at this point? I tweeted it out this morning. But they need guys to step up and do what they're being paid to do. I mean, Nick Castellanos is being paid $20 million, 240. The OPS is not where it needs to be.
Terrible.
He's not driving in runs. He's not protecting Bryce. They made a mistake tonight early. Bryce they would have had first and second with 1 out, and Reese made her base running mistake. Those mistakes are they're not few and far between. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
The JT thing. It's hard. It's hard. This is a position that we have a ton of depth in. It might be the one position in the minors that I'd look at you right now and say it's the best position that we have, at least in the upper part of the system. As you move lower, we have a amazing amount of depth in starting pitching and the outfield, but catcher, as you look toward AA, AAA, there's a lot of depth there. I mean, depth in terms of backup catchers with like guys like Donnie Sands and starting catchers like Rafael Marchand, who's going to be a potential Gold Glove catcher when he lands where he's going to. I mean, this dude is ridiculous for an early 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And then you've got Logan O'Hoppe, who is as close to the all-around version of JT Realmuto that we have, or that may exist out there. Hits for power, hits for average, good defensively. I will say this. Most people say he calls a better game than JT, which has always been a complaint of mine about JT.
Yep.
I still think he calls a poor game. I think the pitch framing has gotten far more rigid, if that makes sense. It's not as smooth as it was. Teams aren't running as much, which I guess is a benefit to what he does. He's still like a 3-win player, which we see a lot out there, but we need him to be more than that for $23 million a year for the next 4 seasons. I mean, I guess it's 3 seasons, but nonetheless, like we're paying this guy $23 million in 2025. And what's he going to do? Like before we're like, oh, it's fine, I'll move to DH, or oh, it's fine, I'll move to first base. Those are both positions where you got to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not doing that. And honestly, Regs, like, I don't think this is a slump. I think this is who he is.
That's horrifying.
I mean, the amount of times that this guy comes up with the bases loaded and less than 2 outs, and we don't score a run, is horrid.
Yeah.
He needs to move down. I don't know who hits there. If they actually had somebody besides Kyle Schwarber who could hit leadoff, then you could move Schwarbs down to the 5 hole, and then everybody slides back, and JT's hitting 7th or 8th, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But at this juncture, we don't have somebody to hit leadoff. Hopefully next year we just continue to up and move up the tax and we signed Trey Turner to hit leadoff, and then that problem's fixed. But in this moment, we don't have a fix to that.
Yeah.
If Gene Segura was healthy, that's probably your fix. He's hitting leadoff, and everything else falls in place behind him. But currently, that doesn't exist. So that's where we're at, and it's unfortunate because we were in a good place even just a week ago. But as the offense has faltered, I think our attitudes have faltered. Do I think the season's over? Absolutely not. They're still clearly in the wild card race. The Mets just got their butts handed to them.
Yeah. That's probably what's adding to the frustration is that the teams around us are finally starting to lose.
Mm-hmm.
In that streak, the Mets were still winning. The Braves had won 14 or whatever in a row.
Correct.
So when you see the other teams above us start losing, and then we're losing to the likes of the Rangers or the Nationals on the last game of a series.
Yeah, 3 in a row to the Nationals and the Rangers shouldn't happen.
I think that's where you sort of multiply that frustration.
Right. And if the Phillies lose today, they're behind the Braves by 5 games.
Right.
So, I mean, they've got to find a way to battle back in this game, and there being no hit, and the Padres have the bases loaded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
Rangers throwing like 30 pitches this inning.
They got out of it, so that's good news. So they're keeping it there. He's going to have to get through one more. I mean, they got a 4-game series here with the Padres.
Yeah.
You know, so they've got a really crucial 10-game stretch coming up. They've got these 4 with the Padres, and then they go home for 3 with the Braves, which is huge. Yeah, I mean, that series is going to be absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
And then they've got 3 with the Cardinals, wrapping around the 4th of July. So to me, 6-4 is the least of the evils.
Yeah.
You can't be 5-5.
No.
6-4 kind of has to be where you sit. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
7-3, I'm ecstatic.
Yep.
8-2, I'm running the block without a shirt on.
Yeah.
But I mean, where do you stand on that? Like,
I'm with you. I think
is it possible? Like,
I mean,
the way they're playing, I mean, they're getting no hit through 4.
No, I don't think it's possible. I think it's what we have to believe. I think
so what do you
4 and 6
what do
is
you
probably
see?
more likely.
4 and 6 is where okay. All
right. I don't. Again, shockingly, I don't want that to happen.
Right.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic, Regs.
No, I get it.
But
I'm with you, and I'm not usually pessimistic, Azzy.
How does this team beat a team like the Braves, who have just been mashing the absolute crap out of the ball?
Yeah. Well, I think some of it, if you're looking at it from the positive, optimistic side, is that they haven't done it against great teams. They just beat the Giants 2 out of 3. So, I mean, credit them there. But they did it at home. Other than that, if you look back at who they played over that win streak, there's literally not a single team that terrifies you. And they're teams that the Phillies get to play in the upcoming months.
But I think when you let a team like the Braves get hot like that, they're not afraid to come into Philadelphia.
No.
That team is not.
They're not.
That team is not intimidated to come into Philadelphia and hit.
They're not.
So
you're right.
I think that's where you're right. They didn't play great teams, but that's where it comes from. When they have the confidence that they need, that team is not afraid to come into Philadelphia and just play.
Sure. And Regs, we're a month out from the deadline too.
Yes.
We're not far from that. So let's wrap with this. Long-term look. If tomorrow was the deadline, top 3 on your wish list in order.
Position wise?
Yeah. What are you hoping for?
I obviously don't. I don't know names like you do.
No, just position wise. I mean, I don't know that there's enough to know who's going to be available right
Closer number 1.
Okay.
JT just jogged out a long ground out to shortstop that he could have beat.
Yeah, he's really frustrated right now. It's not good.
Closer number 1. I think after that, man, it gets tough. I mean, you probably need 2 bullpen guys. I don't think you can just have just a closer. You need to.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you finish.
You need to get another setup guy. And then I think if you can upgrade the bench in any way, you have to try and do that. Because again, Munoz, good for that kid, but
no,
that's not exactly who you want coming off the bench.
No, and I mean you got Maton coming back here soon.
You need, but if you could get a solid bench guy who's proven to, be a good hitter.
Sure.
That would be my choices outside of knowing maybe if any bigger names are available or at some more high, sort of high value positions.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I don't. So I agree. Closer's probably my number 1 because then Sir Anthony becomes your fireman again, which I think he's best suited for. I don't necessarily see them as needing another reliever. I mean, Coonrod's on his way back. Jojo Romero's on his way back.
Yep.
They have a couple of other arms that they got in the offseason. Ryan Sheriff is a lefty that they picked up from the Rays who's on his way back through as well. So they got 3 guys probably that'll give them some depth, but they definitely need a guy they can go to in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
And those 3 are not that. Starting pitcher, I think, is something that they need to take a look at with Eflin's situation. And I don't see them going any deeper than like the Gibson route this year.
I mean, or also with just how Ranger's been pitching.
Oh, looks like they might have finally gotten a hit, Regs.
Didi got a hit. Yes, he did.
Thank God they're not getting a no-hit tonight.
I mean, but I think you also have to look at it just from the Ranger part. Ranger is not it.
No, but he's going to have to be it for at least the rest of this year. I mean, we survived with Kyle Kendrick for years too, and Ranger's no worse than that.
Yeah.
So, at least this year you finish off with him, and then maybe he makes the move to the bullpen next year where I think he'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
But I think, they're definitely going to have to add a starter at the deadline because I just don't think Zach Eflin's going to be able to stay healthy.
Right.
Alongside of that, this is kind of off the cusp. We're going to go off topic a little bit. If you had to choose next year, bringing one back, Gibson, Eflin, who are you bringing back?
Jeez.
I'm going to tell you right now, for me, it's Gibson.
When you first asked me the question, if you had asked me to answer in less than a second, my first thought was Gibson.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just the durability alone.
Right. Zach's been hurt last year. He's hurt. Obviously, something's wrong again this year.
And someone's going to give him too much.
And Gibson has been pitching really well. I know, again, for him, I know he's got a game here and there where it blows up.
Yes.
But
as your bottom of the rotation guy, he's fine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, you're going to have to add another guy in there. But he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine. And then for me, honestly, dude, I know you said bench. With the DH being a thing, I'm not as concerned. I think, Camargo's fine. I think, Maton is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vierling is fine.
Yeah.
They all give you stuff that you need off the bench. For me, if you're serious about winning, go get yourself a center fielder.
Yeah.
It's the one position on the field that I feel like there's just no chance of production. I still feel okay. Again, Bryson Stott being Bryson Stott and being what he is as a rookie. I never feel like, oh yeah, he's worthless. I just don't feel that way. And Odubel just knocked in a run.
He did.
How about it?
But again, don't be fooled.
as I talk trash on the center field position, Odubel knocks in a run.
Right. It stands. It stands.
But if there is an upgrade, even if it's on the cheap somehow, which is not the norm for a premier position like center field. So I think it's fair to say that that's not going to be likely. But
Right.
I think it's something they have to consider. I just, again, when I look around the field, you get Segura back September-ish. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still in it, like that's a huge upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge upgrade.
Yeah.
Reese can get hot for stretches. I mean, Didi's still a veteran. Baum is fine. You're not going to find a third baseman
job,
that's going to
Alec.
be a major upgrade. D-Ground do a double play.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, he's a freaking asshole. But but you're not going to find a major upgrade there right now.
Yeah.
So again, I think center field's the place you got to look.
Yeah.
But at least they tied it up, Regs.
There you go.
So there's that much. There's that much. All right. You ready to talk a little bit about the Sixers?
Yeah.
Anything else happen while we were
Nothing.
yucking it up?
Nothing Sixers related. Nope.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it looks like 23 and Danny Green from what I'm seeing. You seeing the same thing?
23 and Danny Green for
D'Anthony Melton.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't see that.
Okay. I think that's John Clark is reporting D'Anthony Melton for the 23rd pick and Danny Green.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about where they're at right now.
Okay.
Obviously, we know Joel. We know that James is coming back. They see Tyrese Maxey as a cornerstone for the organization. So he's back.
Yep.
Clearly. We've seen a lot of rumors about Matisse on the way out, but we saw them tied to the 23rd pick. So maybe Matisse isn't on the way out. I'd rather him not be, personally. I really would like for him to stay the course and be a Sixer. If they can work on him offensively in any capacity.
I mean, yeah.
His defense is so valuable.
Yeah, especially for this team.
Yeah. Clearly this Melton cannot be the off season for them.
No.
But he's a darn good start, Regs.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was looking up his stuff. So 40% from 3-point last year, 2 years ago.
Yes.
37% this year.
Yes.
And he's only 24.
Yes. So you're probably going to laugh. He was drafted by none other than Daryl Morey
Of course.
4 years ago, in Houston. He's on a really good contract, Rags. He's got 2 years, $18.7 million left on his contract. I'm surprised that Thibault wasn't in this deal. The Grizzlies are a really good team. And for them to give up a rotation piece like him,
Yeah.
I guess they probably have that luxury. They're deep enough to do that.
Right.
But in terms of the Sixers guard rotation, this is the right move. As long as he's not part of another package, which is possible.
But you have to hope that this is the direction they're going.
Well, I mean, he's long.
Younger
he's
guys
athletic,
who can shoot. Yeah.
That are long and athletic.
Right.
I mean, that's where they get killed. Every year, we have this conversation about how they're just not athletic enough to compete with teams who have athleticism on the outside. And they don't have that 3-and-D type of guy.
Yep.
Like they did. And again, this isn't a great example, but like Robert Covington was that dude who was long, athletic, and 3-and-D.
Yeah.
I think he's the perfect fit for them in terms of putting him next to Maxey and Harden.
Mm-hmm.
In whatever capacity they choose to do that, whether he's coming off the bench or he's starting. I mean, I guess when you look at what they're doing right now, does he fit in the 3? Probably. The Sixers still...
He's a small 3 at 6'2".
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
But he's long.
Yeah.
So, and he is a good defender. So could he match up against some bigger threes? Maybe
Yeah,
not,
maybe.
but maybe his length and his athleticism makes up for the size. I'm curious to see what happens from here because I still think Tobias is not a Sixer
Yeah.
when the dust settles. I wasn't sure if that was going to be tonight. I mean, all right. So just a couple of quick numbers on him. DeAnthony Melton ranked in the top 5 percentile for combo guards in block percentage and steal percentage. So is this a replacement for Matisse Thybulle?
I think Matisse is a bigger dude than he is, isn't he?
I don't know. But like when you think about combo guards, he shot 37% from 3 on 8.1 attempts per 36. I mean, that's not bad.
Matisse is 6'5".
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't know. Those numbers just aren't bad.
No, they're not. And for a guy that young, I think this is the direction they have to continue going. We talked about it a lot after we recap the playoffs, is you need these young, high effort guys who are going to try, like who are going to work their butts off.
Right.
And this guy coming from that Memphis situation, that entire team worked their butts off.
Yeah.
For whatever minutes they were able to play, the guys on that team worked their butts off. And so to get someone like that is a really good thing.
Yeah. I think this takes him out of the Eric Gordon conversation. Though,
yeah.
Which I'm happy with.
Yeah, I agree.
If I'm being completely honest. I don't think it takes them out of the PJ Tucker conversation though.
Yeah, that's another one that's interesting because you probably can't have PJ and Matisse on the floor at the same time.
No.
You're basically playing 3 on 5.
And he's freaking 37 years old, Regs.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we talked about this a lot. I mean, he's a dog.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
And Embiid loves him.
Yeah.
So, I think in some ways, he's a fit in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting for me to see what they do from this point. I wish I had any kind of vibe as to what Daryl Morey was going to do. I just have no idea what this guy thinks.
Yeah, no, nobody does.
I mean, I did not see a DeAnthony Melton trade tonight.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I really thought if it was going to be anything, we were going to have to talk about Eric Gordon and have to find a positive in it. But the Melton deal is, it's a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good deal. Again, it kind of reminds me of like what happened a few years ago when he traded like Richardson for Curry and or what was it Horford for Curry?
Horford. Yeah, I think.
I can't remember. And who did he get for Richardson? Danny Green.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like it's like that caliber of trade. Like it feels ridiculous that that's like this is what he got for him. And again, I know there are people who are thinking, oh, D'Anthony Melton, who is this guy? But this is a guy who I think people are going to look at and say, oh yeah,
no, for sure.
This was a good move for them.
Yep.
I can't remember what their second round looks like.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Let me just double check. I don't know if they have one this year. They do not have a selection in the second round. Okay. Because there are still some really good picks in the second.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys out there. I can't believe EJ Liddell is still available.
Where's he from?
That is wild to me. That EJ. I mean, some of these names, Regs, that are still out there are wild to me. Kennedy Chandler, Trevor Keels from Duke is still out there. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Where was the first guy from that you said?
EJ Lindell.
Yeah.
He went to, I think, Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Ohio State. I was just double checking. But he was so talked about coming out of this draft. I'm kind of surprised that he's still there. No, you know what, Regs? I think I'm wrong. He is from. I can't find where he was from. I thought he was from Ohio State, and I think I'm wrong.
That's all right. I believed you.
Well, I don't want you to believe me. I want to be right. Oh no, you went to Ohio State. I was right. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. I feel better now. So honestly, Regs, I know people wanted more out of tonight. I thought it was going to get a little wild, and there's still time left in this draft. It is not over by a long shot, so stuff could still happen. Yeah. I don't know that we'll see any more deals tonight from Morey, but I think the offseason, I think we're going to see a very different Sixers team come the start of the season.
That's what we were hoping.
By Halloween when we tip, I think we're going to see a very different Sixers team. I don't think Tobias is still on this roster. I think there's a 50-50 shot that Matisse is on the roster.
Yep, agree.
I think the bench looks very different. I think Morey knows that the bench has to be better. I see them probably adding another veteran center. If they do, they should probably pick one of the two younger fives and deal them. And if I had my choice, it would be Bassey, because you know how much I love B-Ball Paul.
Yeah.
So if they're going to trade one of those younger two, Charles Bassey is probably the one that I deal. But I do think, and again, I will say this: if PJ Tucker is coming as 7th or 8th man and playing 12 minutes a night,
yeah,
fine,
wrong with that.
Because he can come out and just be a dog for 12 minutes.
Exactly.
Just let him be annoying for 12 minutes.
Yep.
And let DeAnthony Melton be annoying for the other 36.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. But I think we saw the last of Tobias this year. And playing the 4 for the Philadelphia 76ers, Kevin Durant. I mean, you knew it was coming, right?
We'll continue to think happy thoughts.
I mean, hold on. Can we just for a moment?
Oh my God, Kyle Schwarber. Go ball.
Did he?
Ball.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. June Schwarbs. June Schwarbo, 2-1.
No, it was it's 3-1 now. Stott hit
a two-run bomb.
Stott had a double to start the inning.
A 2-run bomb from June Schwarbo. We gotta love that.
He had just missed like 2 pitches before. He was pissed too.
Dude, he's so good.
He was pissed.
Batting average.
Yeah.
I mean, can we just get over batting average for 5 minutes? Can we all just stop caring about batting average? This guy just hits absolute taters.
I mean, it still says Nick Castellanos is hitting 245.
No, he's not.
That's what it said.
Absolutely. How?
But
How?
that's exactly what I mean.
I feel like the guy hasn't had a hit in a month.
That's exactly what I mean.
I was going to say something.
Sorry, I distracted you.
No, you're fine. I was going to say something about the Sixers, and I don't remember.
I think we covered enough.
We did. All right. So real quickly, a Phixated. And it's sports oriented.
Oh,
We've taken us
mixing it up. I like it.
We're back. 3 weeks of non-sports. It's about Rob Tomson. So I saw some criticism of him over the last 3 days, and I gotta say, relax. like what are we going off on Rob Tomson for? Like, this guy, the team was 15-2 in the month of June, Regs. I mean, like, and I saw, he uses the bullpen in the same way as Girardi, and you know, we can't say this about Girardi, but we gotta acknowledge it with Thompson. Like, what I want to do is I want to just speak to what we saw on Father's Day. Did you see what Bryce Harper put on Instagram?
I did.
Okay. For those that didn't see it, let me just use part of my Phixated to explain it. So Bryce Harper posted on Instagram a picture of the entire roster dressed in suits. And in the middle stood interim manager Rob Tomson, wearing a badass fedora, by the way.
Which apparently he's a huge fan of.
Yeah, he owns a few of them, according to an interview. And something about Father's Day, you know, Bryce put something, you know, he put it out there, basically saying they were doing this for for Topper.
That's right.
Our guy Topper. And it didn't come out till a couple of days later. They asked Thompson about it, and he mentioned that when he was growing up, his dad would talk about how, like, you know, you had to dress, if you were going to be in the big leagues, you had to dress like you were in the big leagues. So from the time he got to the big leagues, he wore a suit on every road trip, every single road trip. And Regs, I think it's pretty safe to say when we look at like what guys wear to the stadiums now, like it's pretty loose, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you see guys walking into Sunday Night Baseball in like these designer t-shirts and jeans and, you know, Chucks, what I would wear, right? Like stuff that I would wear. Maybe not the designer t-shirts.
Yeah,
they're a little too expensive for my taste, but you get what I'm saying. But you know, basically what the team decided was, because apparently they knew this about him.
Mm-hmm.
So on Father's Day, they surprised him by all dressing in suits in honor of his dad. So where I'm getting at here is we may want to criticize the in-game. We might want to criticize, oh, he used Familia in a spot we didn't want him to use Familia in. But he clearly has the respect of the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than anybody since Charlie.
Yeah.
And that comes from someone who's a big Gabe guy.
Yeah.
Like, I won't give up on the Gabe thing, but I don't think he ever had complete control or respect from every player in the clubhouse.
Yeah, agreed.
It is evident, clear as day, that Topper has the respect of all the dudes, every player in that clubhouse.
Yep.
Because if Bryce Harper and the veterans on that roster who were standing directly around him in the photo, we've talked trash on Castellanos, we've talked trash on JT Realmuto, but they are clearly respected veterans on this team.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, and Nick Castellanos were flanking him in this photo. And the rest of the team all surrounding him in suits for his dad on Father's Day. If that does, they would not have done that for Joe Girardi.
No.
I promise you that.
Yep.
And they wouldn't have done it for Gabe Kapler.
Yeah.
And the teams before that wouldn't have done it for Pete McCannon, Ryan Sandberg. Like, there weren't veterans on those teams,
Yep.
so that's probably not fair to say about McCannon and Sandberg. But I do feel like we haven't seen this level of respect for a manager since Charlie Manuel. And so for that reason, I'm fixated on what Topper has done with this roster. They were buried. They were dead. They were dead. And we sit here tonight. They're still in the conversation. They're still battling every day. We have July baseball around the corner, competitive July baseball around the corner. And hopefully they get a win tonight. In a 4-game series, winning the first one on the road is huge.
Yeah.
And again, I think a lot of it has to do with the relationships and the communication that Topper has had with this roster. And I think a lot of that is reflected in what happened last weekend as they left Washington and flew to Texas. I know they lost the next two. I know they lost the last game in Texas, in Washington. I get it. 3-game losing streaks happen. We talked about this last week. It is not easy to win in Major League Baseball. It's not. If they win tonight, they need 3 more wins in this month to match the franchise high in wins.
Yeah.
Like, and they did that under Topper. They would have had one win with Girardi as the manager. And it was the day he got fired or the day before he got fired, whatever it was. Like, there's clearly something with this guy. So I'm kind of fixated on what happens here with Topper. Like, we talked about it a little bit, and I'm sure we'll get into it as the season goes on. But this guy is managing himself into legitimate conversation for being the manager moving forward.
Oh my
Whether
God.
that's on a...
I'm sorry.
What?
JT just hit a 3-run home run.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. Listen, man, this podcast is powerful. We will speak things into existence.
6-1 lead
and
in San Diego.
I don't interrupt Phixated.
I know you don't.
I have a proven track record, but right before that, Castellanos got a hit and broke an 0-for-19 streak, and then JT just hit a home run after we just absolutely shit on them for half of this podcast.
Could it be the turnaround?
We're not gonna. It's too soon.
It's too soon. Okay, fair enough.
Sorry,
fair enough.
I don't interrupt Phixated.
No,
I'm
and
sorry.
honestly, I was wrapping it up. I think that this guy is kind of he's worked himself into the conversation, right? Like, I think we're at a point now where, again, yes, it's a month, right? But if he repeats this month in July,
yeah,
and they're in this conversation, and I think Regs personally, and we'll get in this conversation far deeper once we get to the point at the end of the season. But if he gets them to the conversation of the playoffs, if they're within a few games, he's going to get the interview. If they get in, he's going to at least earn 1 year with an option for a second. And I will say that right now on this Phixated. If they get to the playoffs, he will get the job at least for a year. And I truly feel that way because this season turned on a dime the second he got named. And Father's Day proves that. You don't do that for a guy you don't love and respect and want to win for. Yeah. It's not something you do. As a group of players, you don't just do that. You only do that for someone you love, someone you'll rally around, and someone that you'll fight for. They were not going to do that for Joe Girardi. No. And I mean that in the most literal of ways. And the most of symbolic of ways. Yeah. They weren't fighting for him every day. They're fighting for him. They're fighting for Topper. They weren't going to symbolically show their passion for Girardi the way that they're showing it for Topper. So right now I'm fixated on what the hell is going to happen with Topper when the time comes. Yeah. Because right now Rob Tomson is convincing me that he deserves a look at the long term. And you might hear me in August in a Phixated say something very different. But as of this moment, I feel like he deserves a look. So that's where I'm at this week, man.
There you go.
Anything that you want to add before we say goodbye to the loyal listeners?
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing to add.
All right. So guys, we're going to be off next week unless Regs does something on his own. We haven't talked about it. I'm heading to the Dominican for the week. Dominican Republic, here I come, Regs.
Congratulations, buddy. Happy for you. Enjoy
Thanks.
the time off. Unless something really crazy happens, maybe I'll throw an emergency quick little 15-minute up there. But without something crazy happening, it'll be a week off for the podcast. I do deserved. We will have Wi-Fi down there, so if something absolutely ridiculous happens, I'll probably just pop one for like one of my quick little videos that you can put up. There you go. But otherwise, you won't hear from us next week. It's going to be a week off for the Phixated podcast. And certainly I'm thrilled with what happened tonight with the Sixers. I'm thrilled with where the Phillies are at right now with a 6-1 lead in San Diego in the top of the sixth, Regs? Top 7 now.
Top 7 now. Okay. So yeah, we're in a good place. Good places as we leave Phixated. Hopefully when I leave on Saturday, hopefully they win tomorrow and they have the split guaranteed because that's what they needed coming out of this. And I'll be at the game. Are you going on Sunday night? Sunday night?
Yeah.
St. Louis, Sunday Night Baseball?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be there. And actually Joseph will be there, right?
There you go.
So we'll have to meet up.
I love it.
We'll have to meet up and do a quick little video for the
Absolutely.
Phixated fan base out there. So, all right, everybody, make sure you click subscribe here below us. So if you're watching us on YouTube,
We need one more. We're at 19, Azzy. We're at
if we do,
19.
we know what that means, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
Regs
right.
has to give out his Twitter account.
You're gonna have to wait
his
2
Twitter
weeks
handle.
for it, though.
Yeah, 2 weeks, unless someone. Yeah, that's fair. Well, if someone listen, I'll tell you what. If someone does subscribe, I need to know because I will do a video announcing it.
If we get to 20, yes, I'll do a video announcing
We'll
it.
have to. So make sure you click subscribe here below us. If you are on Twitter, make sure you follow the podcast at the Phixated Pod or at BNB Podcasts on Twitter. You can follow me at the Mic Drop 5. You can get us at the Phixated fan page on Facebook as well. But make sure no matter what, you follow us anywhere. We actually, Regs, we have somebody working on our logo so that we can get ourselves some merch that we can sell and give out here on the pod.
Yep.
As always, guys, we thank you so much for listening. For the next 2 weeks, be safe, be good, be kind to someone. We love each and every one of you. Take care. Go Phils.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you in a few weeks.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.